Today, we're diving into something many of you might remember from school, maybe not always fondly, the presidential fitness test.
Ah, yes, the PFT.
Right. It shaped gym class for generations, and now it's back. President Trump just reinstated it on July 31st, 2025.
Big news in the world of physical education and, well, maybe national policy, too.
Definitely.
Our mission today is basically to figure out its history, why it went away, why it's back, and what that really means.
Yeah, what does it mean for physical education for kids today, for you? Let's get into it.
Okay, so to really grasp why this reinstatement is a big deal, we kind of have to go back, way back, actually.
Before the PFT, we know.
Oh, yeah. The idea of testing kids' fitness in the U.S., it didn't just pop up in the 50s. We're talking late 1800s.
Late 1800s. Wow. What were they measuring back then? Was it like pull-ups and sprints?
Not exactly. Initially, it was more about measuring the body itself, anthropometrics, things like lung capacity, grip strength, and this idea of physical efficiency.
Physical efficiency, okay.
Then, moving into the early 20th century, it started to shift more towards what they called motor ability. That's where you see things like climbing, running, jumping start to come in, more familiar territory.
And was the government interested at this point, or was it still mostly like doctors and physical educators?
The government definitely started paying attention, especially, after the World Wars, World War I and World War II.
Right, military readiness.
Exactly. Suddenly, fitness testing wasn't just about health. It was explicitly linked to being prepared for combat. Having a physically fit nation ready for war, that idea really started taking hold in the public mind and, importantly, in schools.
Which leads us right into the Cold War context, doesn't it?
Huh?
The 1950s.
Absolutely. That whole decade was about reevaluating everything in America, especially education. You had Sputnik launching in 57.
Huge shock to the system.
Right. Led to things like the National Defense Education Act. Everything was viewed through that Cold War lens, including phys ed. There were calls to move away from just obstacle courses, get more, balanced.
So the stage was set. What was the specific trigger for the PFT itself?
The real catalyst was a study, the Krauss-Weber test, officially the minimum muscular fitness test developed in the early 50s. Interestingly, it came out of research on lower back pain.
Okay, so Krauss and Weber.
Yeah.
What happened when they tested American kids? Was it business as usual?
Far from it. It was a bombshell, really. They tested about 4,000 kids, mostly East Coast, ages 6 to 16, and found that 56.6%, well over half, failed this minimum test.
56%. That sounds bad.
It was, especially when they compared it. They tested 3,000 kids in Italy, Switzerland, Austria, and there, only 8.2% failed on average.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive difference. I can see why that would cause panic. How did people explain it then?
Oh, it caused a total sensation. Media went crazy. Parents, schools, government officials, everyone was alarmed. President Eisenhower included.
Yeah, and the explanation.
Dr. Krauss himself pointed fingers at American affluence. Basically, American kids were too comfortable. They didn't walk enough, didn't do chores, watched too much TV compared to European kids. A 1955 Sports Illustrated piece even blamed parents and schools directly.
So the narrative became, American kids are lazy and soft because life's too easy. But looking back now, with more research, does that hold up? Was it really just about being wealthy?
That's the critical question, isn't it? And modern critiques really push back on that simple explanation. For one thing, the actual test results. They didn't show any real difference between rich kids and poor kids.
Okay. So that kind of undermines the affluence argument.
It does. If it wasn't just wealth, then what was it? Well, the critiques point out a couple of things. First, practice matters. European PE programs at the time just happened to include more of the specific kinds of calisthenics that were on the Krauss-Weber test. Their kids were simply more practiced at those movements.
So it wasn't necessarily overall fitness, but familiarity with the test itself.
Exactly. And second, the test itself wasn't really a measure of general physical fitness, the way everyone seemed to interpret it. It was just about minimum muscular fitness, a very specific, limited thing.
So a limited test interpreted through this lens of Cold War anxiety.
Right. And it sparked decades of policy. It really shows how, initial data, maybe not fully understood, can shape national narratives and actions for a long, long time, sometimes overlooking the nuances, like the potential psychological impact.
That's a really important insight. Okay, so even with those nuances maybe missed at the time, the results got Eisenhower's attention. What did he do?
He acted fast. July 1956, he creates the President's Council on Youth Fitness.
The first iteration.
The first. And this council looked around, found a program in California they liked, and adapted some of its tests. They settled on 6 items initially. Pull-ups for boys, modified pull-ups for girls, sit-ups, a shuttle run, standing broad jump, and interestingly, a softball throw for distance.
The softball throw. That one always seemed a bit random.
Yeah, we'll get back to that one. They later added a seventh item, a 600-yard walk run. And by 1958, that package became the first official national youth fitness test. The PFT, as we sort of know, was born.
Okay, so Eisenhower gets it started. Then comes Kennedy.
Huh.
How did JFK shape this whole thing?
Kennedy really ramped up the intensity in that Cold War connection. Even before he was president, he wrote this really popular article for Sports Illustrated called The Soft American.
The soft American? Wow, that's blunt.
It really was. He was worried kids were getting soft, too much TV, not enough activity, and he explicitly linked that individual softness to national weakness, national vitality. He literally said softness could strip and destroy the vitality of a nation. Serious stuff.
You can feel the Cold War pressure there. Did he make changes to the council or the program?
He did. He broadened its scope, renamed it the President's Council on Physical Fitness, dropping the youth to include all ages. And he pushed things like those famous 50-mile hikes, trying to get the whole country moving. He really cemented that link between fitness and national strength.
Then under LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, things shifted again slightly, right? With the awards.
In 1966, Johnson established the Presidential Physical Fitness Award Program. This was a big step because now kids who scored in the top 85th percentile on all the tests got an actual award, a patch.
Ah, the patch, that little badge of honor.
Exactly. Suddenly, it wasn't just about measuring fitness. It was about national recognition for being in the top tier. And that really fueled competition in schools. It introduced these relative benchmarks comparing kids against each other nationally.
Which, as you mentioned earlier, became a point of contention later on.
It did. Because what about the kids who weren't in the 85th percentile? That focus on the top performers could be pretty demoralizing for a lot of students. It kind of missed the point of health for everyone.
So were there complaints? Did people push back against that competitive aspect?
Yeah, over time, definitely. The feeling grew that maybe focusing only on the elite wasn't the best way to encourage lifelong fitness for all kids. But the core structure stayed for a while.
Did the test itself change much during the 70s and 80s?
Some tweaks. Remember the softball throw that got dropped in 76? The thinking was it's more of a specific skill, like throwing a baseball, not purely fitness. And interestingly, some sources say its origin was tied to mimicking grenade throwing.
Wow, okay, so definitely tied to that military preparedness idea.
Seems likely. They also modified the sit-ups, the bent knee kind, for better back safety. And they added longer distance runs, trying to get more at cardiovascular endurance. But even through Carter and Reagan, the main emphasis, especially with the awards, stayed on that individual exceptional performance.
So the focus was still very much on identifying and rewarding the top athletes. When did that philosophy really start to change?
The big shift, arguably, began under Bill Clinton. His administration started promoting materials aimed at getting all kids active, not just the ones acing the tests. Think campaigns like Get Off It or Get Up, Get Out, trying to make fitness more accessible and maybe fun for everyone.
Less about percentiles, more about participation.
Exactly, moving towards that direction.
Did George W. Bush continue that trend?
He did, yeah. His council pushed programs like the Presidential Active Lifestyle Award, the PLA Award, that focused on daily activity, consistency, forming habits, rather than just hitting peak performance on test day. The old PFT award system was still technically there, but the emphasis was broadening towards, continuous health and wellness.
Okay, so the ground was shifting.
Right.
Which leads us to the Obama administration and the actual retirement of the PFT.
Right. This was a definitive move. First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative, launched in 2010, was huge.
I remember that. He got a lot of attention.
It did. The goal was ambitious: tackle childhood obesity within a generation. And the approach was much broader: nutrition, community support, making healthy choices easier. It was really about moving away from defining fitness purely through athletic achievement, that individual exceptionalism.
It felt more holistic.
Very much so. And then in 2012, the President's Council officially replaced the old PFT with something new: the Presidential Youth Fitness Program, or PYFP.
The PYFP. So how was that different from the PFT?
It was designed to be different. It used updated science, incorporated technology. Instead of just pass-fail or hitting a percentile, it aimed to put kids' results within healthy fitness zones based on research. And critically, they got rid of the competitive award for being in the top category.
No more 85th percentile patch.
Nope. The focus shifted to providing individual feedback, setting personal goals, tracking progress. It was meant to be educational, helping kids understand their own health rather than just a competition, a real philosophical change towards health for all.
So the PFT, as generations knew it, was gone, replaced by this more health-focused, individualized program. But plot twist.
Plot twist indeed. Fast forward to July 31st, 2025, President Donald Trump signs an executive order. The PFT and its award program. They're back.
What was his reasoning? What did he say about bringing it back?
He called it a wonderful tradition, said it was an important step in our mission to make America healthy again.
And this fits with his known interest in sports.
Absolutely. The AP notes he's always been enthralled with the world of sports. He's an avid golfer, played high school baseball, attends big games, UFC fights, you name it. Plus, the timing is interesting. The U.S. is gearing up to host the Ryder Cup, the FIFA World Cup, the Summer Olympics, all during his term.
So a high profile for sports nationally. And he also made changes to the council itself.
Yes, the executive order expands the president's council on sports, fitness, and nutrition. And he's appointed some very well-known figures from the sports world.
Wow.
It's quite the list. Pro golfer Bryson DeChambeau, WWE's Paul Triple H Levesque, Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs,
Yeah, okay.
former NFL linebacker Lawrence Taylor, golfer Annika Sorenstam. Quite a few big names. The order also puts Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of administering the program.
So a star-studded council, the test is back. What's the initial reaction from people who actually study this stuff, like kinesiology experts?
Well, it's mixed, as you might expect. Some experts welcome any renewed focus on getting kids active, given ongoing health concerns.
Sure, activity is good.
Right. But others are cautious. Laura Richardson, a kinesiology professor at the University of Michigan, made a key point. She said, look, a test by itself isn't enough. It has to be part of a larger program, something with lessons, structure, support for kids to actually improve. The focus needs to be on helping kids get better, not just on the score they get.
So the test is just one piece. It matters how it's used in schools.
Exactly. Which ties back to some of the long-standing criticisms of the original PFT. Did it actually help teachers improve kids' health, or did it just measure athletic performance?
That's the core debate, isn't it? Performance versus health. The old PFT measured strength, speed, agility, things associated with athleticism. The PYFP, the one that replaced it, tried to focus more explicitly on health-related fitness levels and giving teachers tools.
Precisely. And this brings us to maybe the most important part of the dive, the impact on the kids themselves, especially their mental health.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe concerning. What did the research and personal accounts find about the PFT experience?
It's pretty stark, honestly. Many students looking back at gym class in the 70s and 80s described feelings of alienation, dread, and disembodiment, feeling humiliated, vulnerable, or incompetent.
That sounds awful. Not exactly inspiring a live of fitness.
Not at all. There were real concerns about, as one person put it, a fat-phobic attitude, a feeling that the goal was almost to eradicate the fatness of kids rather than support their well-being.
And this wasn't just feelings, right? There was research linking it to actual school issues.
Yes. Some studies connected PE experiences, particularly around testing, to things like disciplinary problems, even skipping school. The environment could apparently enable harassment or bullying of kids who didn't meet those physical standards.
So it could actively turn kids off school and exercise.
Yeah.
What about broader impacts like body image?
That's another major concern. The data is worrying. You see studies showing kids as young as 7 associating negative traits like being lazy or having fewer friends with fat students.
Oof, at 7.
Yeah, and body dissatisfaction climbs sharply, especially for girls. One study found 40% of third-grade girls wanted to be thinner. By 6th grade, it was nearly 80%. Overweight kids, both boys and girls, consistently express a higher desire to be thinner.
And we know that kind of dissatisfaction is linked to serious issues.
Absolutely. Increased risk of eating disorders, depression. It's a heavy connection. It really makes you question what message these tests, or the way they were implemented, were sending kids about their bodies.
Which loops back to that narrative we talked about earlier, the perfect soldier idea. How strong was that link?
It seems pretty foundational, actually. The PFT started, as we said, with Cold War fears about national readiness. That narrative kind of morphed over time. After 9/11, for example, some researchers noted how childhood obesity started being framed almost as a national security threat, a terror within that could weaken the nation.
Wow. Framing obesity as terrorism.
It's a powerful and perhaps troubling frame. The argument from some researchers is that a major underlying driver for these kinds of national fitness programs has always been about creating that perfect soldier, which leads to more scrutiny, more surveillance, and restriction of individual bodies.
So less about individual joy and health, more about national utility.
That's the critique. And teachers themselves have often echoed this. Many argued that the test-focused approach fostered an unhealthy relationship with exercise. It became about performance, about skills, not about finding joy in movement or building lifelong healthy habits.
What did teachers advocate for instead?
Many emphasize the importance of building that positive, lasting relationship with being active. Even simple things like walking, making movement feel good, making it sustainable, rather than making it a high-pressure test. The goal should be lifelong wellness, not just a score in 6th grade.
Right, makes so much sense. Fostering enjoyment over obligation.
Exactly. So we've traced this whole journey, from Cold War panic and the soft American, through awards and competition, modifications, the shift towards wellness under Clinton, Bush, and Obama, the retirement, and now the return.
It really is like a pendulum swinging back and forth, reflecting not just how we think about fitness, but maybe deeper anxieties about the nation, about childhood itself.
It certainly reflects shifting ideals. Right. So as the PFT makes its comeback in schools, it leaves us and you with a big question to chew on.
What's that final thought?
This ongoing tug-of-war between pushing for top athletic performance and promoting broader, health-focused wellness for everyone, what does it really mean for how we define a healthy child in America today? And maybe more importantly, what kind of relationship with our own bodies and with exercise are we actually building for the next generation with these choices?